guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
God damn, Jimmy. This is some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Coffee with me, Keith. First of all, I would like to say that it is a distinct honor to be here on KGRA this morning with all of you, and here for my first inaugural broadcast as a member of KGRA, here with Mr. Gary Cassell, my good friend Das Wolfen, aka John.
Guten Morgen.
And of course, the man with the plan, Martin.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Penny. And good morning to all of the regulars. Let me start off by saying good morning to Penny, D-Bud Martin, Dragon Roos, Christian, Delamore, and, well, pretty much just everybody else. Hopefully, oh, wait a minute. And we've already got a $5 super chat this morning. Okay. I just dropped by to hear Keith's contagious laugh. Now I'm off to shoveling. We got 5 inches of snow last night in Ottawa. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to you, Christian. And for that super chat, we will then go ahead and play this.
And by the way, I want to point out that 5 inches is nothing to brag about.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night, bitch.
Wow. And again, cheers really to you, Christian. Thanks for kicking this Friday off in such an incredible way. And first and foremost, let me just say, fuel up. If you're not trying it, you really should. Okay?
And speaking of trying, I want to watch you. That's all. By the way, I'm fucking out of here after you take the first chug, and then I'm going to drop by in about an hour to see how you're doing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's almost like I've described it as almost like the dreamsicle, and Tang, rolled into one.
And
you and I are both Tang kids. We grew.
Oh yeah.
I told you what I did because Keith came by the house last night. I said my brother Mike caught me one time because he'd have the Tang open to make some, and I'd walk by and I go, and then stick it in and eat the Tang off my finger. And he caught me one time double dipping. And he saw me. He goes, "Did you just lick your finger and put it into the Tang?" I said, "Anything that my spit touch stuck to my finger." I didn't leave anything. Child logic. He didn't beat my ass, but he wanted to. Ooh, Christian Delorme. I got to tell you, Christian Delorme is awesome, Keith. Christian started following us because of Dangerous Nerds and Don Ecker.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing. Big supporter of the military. Christian's son is in the military. This is just fantastic. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Yeah. So now I'm going to fuck off. I'm going to go fuck with Lou Ferrigno. Anybody who knows Pumping Iron knows what I'm referencing there. So anyway, you guys have a good show. I'll stop back by in about an hour to see how things are going with you. Because I'm telling you, man, I still feel it. I don't have my afternoon naps anymore. That shit changed my day. It changed my fucking day.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
Fuck cocaine. Fuck cocaine. That's all I got to say. Fuel Up is amazing. And no crash. Because cocaine, you have a crash.
Yeah.
Even coffee, you have a crash. I don't have a crash with that stuff. I can hardly wait till all you guys get a chance to try it. It's amazing. I want to hear back from everybody on this stuff. I didn't, you know me. I'm skeptical of everything. No more. Fuel Up is amazing. And I don't care if 5 years from now my heart bursts out of my chest like an alien. I don't care. Fucking good stuff. But have a good show, man.
Okay.
And don't forget, you have a thumbnail to the right there to promote this afternoon's show.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, this is our new thing. Join the end of the week party in my pants. Good show, guys. Bye, everybody.
Woo-hoo! Hi, Gary. Okay. Wow. Well,
now he's gone. We can talk about him.
Yeah. What a way to begin the day, or at least for many of us, what a way to begin the weekend. So today's topic will be corporate entertainment versus fandom.
Hey, we still haven't acknowledged this.
Super chat. Let's see. The difference between medium and rare: 6 inches is medium, 9 inches is rare. That's a comeback. That is a comeback. So let me see. A comeback to Gary.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, English, giant, twerp, scumbag, fuckface, dickhead, asshole.
Come on, man.
Okay, so today's topic is corporate entertainment versus fandom. Now, let me just say this. One of the things that really those of us that have been geeks and nerds our entire life, we all have our love of what we love. The characters, the stories, whether they be books, cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, toys, television shows, films, whatever. This is really something that has really been built and pushed forward in the 20th century, mainly due to its association with the entertainment corporations and companies. Because for many years prior to, I should say, film and television, a lot of this stuff was promoted through the popular medium of the day. And for many, it was really radio. And we just got through celebrating, the 94th anniversary of Popeye the Sailor. Just one of the few characters popular characters that are still kind of popular that people may have heard of prior to Superman in 1938. So let me just say this. One of the things that has also become something, unfortunately, that is permeated and become something that is well known amongst fans is the sometimes dislike of the interpretation of many things that Hollywood or the entertainment industry will do when adapting certain things that we like. Okay? There's never really been any adaptation that's ever been a complete adaptation of fill in the blank. Okay? Unless we're talking Rosemary's Baby. And that's only because the director didn't know how to adapt a work. He literally thought that meant to take what is on that page in the book and put it up on the screen. Outside of that, maybe Watchmen.
Yeah, Watchmen's the closest of the comic book
genre that's ever been adapted.
Mm-hmm.
And they changed the ending.
Oh yeah,
even more than 300.
300 is another good example, and again, that's another film by Zack Snyder. But look, I don't think anybody in their right mind would actually expect to have something that is fully adapted directly, word for word, straight from the page or wherever, to whatever Hollywood produces. Okay, I don't think that's ever really been something that anyone has ever truthfully and honestly ever thought would happen. Although there are some of us that make the mistake of never really reading the source material. I'm looking at a lot of you Bourne fans who really, a lot of you really don't understand that, with the exception of the first movie, that all the other Bourne movies have absolutely nothing to do with the books, even though they end up using the titles of many of the books for the films. In fact, one could say that there's a lot of that going on with the James Bond films. But what has really happened over the last 10 to 15 years seems to be this massive divide in the fandom that more often than not has been egged on by a lot of the people within the entertainment industry. And I think it's safe to say that prior to like even 20 years ago, everybody got along for the most part. That isn't to say that you didn't have disagreements, but seriously,
No.
You know, when you look at things like gaming, our favorite television shows, movies, cartoons, all of that, everybody got along. Everybody was having fun. The biggest difference between then and now is the entertainment industry got involved. I mean, can you think of anything outside of that, John?
No, it wasn't that they just got involved. They got involved in the geek spaces.
Yeah.
That they came in and started saying things that weren't complimentary to those of us in that space.
Well, I mean, a lot of us grew up at a time when being a geek or a nerd was not very popular. Some of us remember what it was like in school.
Oh yeah,
and how you got looked down on and made fun of and worse.
And you have to
not
learn
to my
how
face,
to fight.
but yeah, not to my face.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it was very difficult. So to then reach a point in your life where you're seeing some of what you enjoyed brought to life on television or streaming or in a movie theater, only to be told by the company that did it that you are fill in the blank because you happen to not like a certain part of what they've presented to you that doesn't exactly match what you had learned in the books. Now, go ahead, John.
Or it's not for you. That's the other big thing you hear is when we complain, it's like, oh, it's not for you. Well, like, bitch, we've been here longer than you have.
Well, and again, you have the fan base versus the people who have put up a lot of money to create something. And again, I will tell you, okay, if you paid for something, you have every right to do whatever you want to do with said rights to do and adapt however you want. My only issue, as I've said in any conversation like this, is that if you're going right at the fans of that particular property and you expect them to support what you've created, and you spend your time dismissing them or making fun of them or insulting them, you should expect them to be unhappy and to vocalize that. That's all. I'm not someone in favor of, hey, we should boycott this or good. it's an individual choice, you know. But I will say this. I think the entertainment industry has had a hand in a lot more than what we realize, though. And here's a good example of that. Everybody understands that the beginning of, say, the comic book industry, from the time that Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson created the modern American comic book and started his company National, who you now know as DC Comics, and the explosion of talent that it brought in creating comics for other companies, including Atlas, that eventually became Marvel. Back then, everybody had a way of working, and it was all about introducing characters. You knew who the audience was. They were going right at really anybody that liked to read, but mainly kids. Okay? Everybody had their own formula. Everybody had their own characters. Some characters even weren't even really good adaptations of other characters you may have seen in other books. But everybody was having fun. They were all making stuff. And I will say this, the most popular creatives were Simon and Kirby, who happened to work for Atlas. Those guys were popular with everybody, and they were friends with everybody. So naturally, once Superman hit in 1938 and became a huge success, if you were to look at what had come before, Little Orphan Annie, the aforementioned Popeye, even stuff like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers.
Don't forget the pulps like
The Shadow, Captain Midnight. It's
Doc Savage.
Doc Savage. Merchandising was always a thing, and it was usually something where they would instantly turn you into a radio show that kids could follow on top of just buying the comics and the books. So it was an extra bit of revenue for a lot of these companies. Nowadays, kind of for very little. But it was something to look forward to, and it helped to really grow the popularity of characters, especially like Superman. You got to understand, Superman was huge. Huge. I can't think of anything else in the history of American marketing that was as big as Superman when he hit. Superman changed the entire comic book industry by himself.
Yeah.
And even Simon and Kirby had to bow down and say, wow, that's big, which is the reason why they had to come up with their own characters. But to single out DC and Marvel, both companies had a different way of doing things, and their histories are slightly different. And I will suggest to you the reason why DC Comics has a much longer and more involved history with Hollywood than Marvel was because I think almost from the very beginning, Hollywood has been playing a part in helping to adapt a lot of DC characters into other mediums, radio, film, animation. If you really think about it, it did not take Superman very long before he was on the radio and then was an animated property and then was a film.
Yep. With Batman right behind him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he would have been there sooner if National had accepted RKO's original offer. So the first comic book character to ever become a feature film was Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Because National wanted to see if any other studio was going to make them an offer, which again, that's right thinking. You have the number one character. Of course, you're going to want to wait to see what Columbia, who ultimately ended up, I think, with the contract, Warner Brothers, Universal, all of them. You're going to wait to see what they offer you. So Captain Marvel became the first character.
And that's the real Captain Marvel, kids. That's not that blonde bimbo.
You tell him, John. But what I'm getting at is this. When you look at the character of Superman and what that character and who that character was prior to Hollywood or the entertainment industry getting involved, the character is pretty simple to understand. He wasn't OP out the butt. Next thing you know, you're getting the radio show, which introduces kryptonite. So prior to that, the creators of Superman pretty much just had him as a super-powered man who was going around and helping people. The bad guys he was fighting were usually either corrupt cops, politicians, landlords, mobsters. Well, goes without saying as far as their corruption. And really domestic abusers and others. Introducing something like kryptonite means that you're taking a more of a fantastical element to add to that, and you're steering away from really a form of social commentary, which was all right for the time. But then you started having things like the animated movies, and Superman really started flying. That was the thing that both the radio show and the animated shorts emphasized, which, again, that was a little bit of a change. And then, of course, we got into the live-action films. And that eventually evolved into the super popular, and again, super popular television series, The Adventures of Superman, which, while, again, it wasn't on television as long as Smallville, but the impact of that one television show made it one of the most popular television shows of that particular decade.
Yep.
And notice, outside of Captain America, Atlas pretty much didn't have anybody else on film.
Nope, just Cap.
Just Captain America. And Captain Marvel, again, he didn't get any other movies. Superman got multiple films. Batman got multiple movies.
Movies and serials.
Well, when I say movies, I mean all of it. Because Superman fans for decades really embrace all of the actors that have played the characters. Whereas Batman fans are the ones that'll go, well, it's just a serial. It doesn't count. It counts.
Yeah.
It counts. I mean, look, nothing against Adam West. I grew up like everybody else watching the Batman television series. But in reality, Adam West is the third Batman.
There's one in 41 and 143.
That's right. You have two other actors that were ahead of him in being that character. And just because you don't want to acknowledge that doesn't wipe out the fact that there were two other actors, mainly because William Dozier based a lot of what his initial concepts for that television show on those films. Without him, you got no Batman television series.
Yep.
It's the same thing for the Superman stuff. Without Kirk Allen being the first Superman, none of what followed happens. In fact, Noel Neill, who was with Kirk Allen in the original first Superman film, is the one actor, or in this case, actress, who was at and involved with Superman in excuse me, in Hollywood far longer than any other personality. She got her big break with that first one, and pretty much stayed with Superman for decades. I think her final Superman connected appearance was in Bryan Singer's Superman Returns, where she played a pivotal role in that film. Pivotal. So I say all that to say this. Back then, fans didn't mind so much. Adding to Superman as a character, it was done in a way to enhance the character. And it wasn't something so outrageous that it really hurt the direction that the character, was on, the path that you were taking the character, the things that you wanted to do with the character. It wasn't meant to disrupt. It wasn't meant to monumentally change the character. It was just to add something more spectacular, especially if you're going to go from the page to, say, an audio adventure like the radio show, because you got to be able to do something. You can't have him bouncing every place, and the running gets boring. This is the number one most exciting character kids are going to hear. Let's have him fly.
Yep.
That's helpful stuff.
Yeah.
Marvel didn't want that. Marvel wasn't about that. Or I should say Atlas. Atlas would have sold out, but during those years, nobody in Hollywood was wanting to do anything with them. They all wanted a piece of what DC was doing. And you could only stretch Superman so far. Thus, when Batman hit, it's one more IP to put out there. One more IP that allowed National to make more money. So, from the very beginning, National was very amenable to working with all of the studios, working with all the creatives to get what they had and to put it out there so they could sell more books. That's the relationship. We give you the rights to make this so that we could sell more books. And it worked for decades.
Yep.
Marvel, on the other hand, had a really difficult time breaking in. So if you don't count the Captain America live action film from the 1940s, which, again, with the exception of the costume, almost has nothing to do with the character. I mean, I don't even think he has a shield, if I remember correctly. In fact, he's not even really Steve Rogers. He's supposed to be some sort of a secret agent.
Yeah.
He uses this costume. I mean, the whole origin of the character is pretty much different. One could say almost from the very beginning, Marvel was getting, and they didn't like it. And that affects how they view things to this day. One can't tell nowadays because, Kevin Feige and the MCU. But realistically, hold on. Let's check the chat because we seem to be very, very lively in the chat today. Let's see. Monkey Jeebus. You can't compare manga to American comics. Totally different audience. You're correct. Totally different way of coming at things. Let's see. He goes on to say, you have to remember superhero comics were always the most popular. Comics were just a medium to tell stories. You are correct again. There
Yep.
were other characters that had been adapted into film. Comic strips like Blondie, which launched a series of popular films adapting the Blondie character into several things. Dick Tracy was another one. Again, both super popular. Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. So popular that they both ended up using the same actor to play the same character.
Buster Crab.
Hey, Mr. Action for a while, you know. In many ways, I mean, even when you look at a lot of popular adventure books, which really a lot of adventure novels, they were just comic books with just words instead of pictures, which means, you know, the king of the adventure books going into the 20th century was Edgar Rice Burroughs, you know. So you can even look at things like the Tarzan films. But
I want to point some. I want to
go ahead.
Respond to what Monkey Jeebus said about selling off the rights. Marvel did not sell off their rights to get stuff out there. Marvel sold off the rights to keep from going under.
Let's see. Wow, Monkey, very passionate. Let's see, Zax, Keith, yeah, Zax, how you doing, buddy? Let's see, and it says
we still haven't seen Namor in live action.
There's a Superman on TV right now, and it's not pulling in viewers. I totally get that. Although my thing about Superman and Lois is I think that show would do much better if it were actually on a network that people like to watch. You know, right now, there's not really that much money for them to even really advertise if you're keeping up on all the debt that has been incurred. You know, CW Network hasn't really pulled in any profits since 2016. Netflix, for the most part, has been pretty much underwriting at least a lot of the superhero television shows on the CW.
Yeah.
So let's see. And Shinatsky, yes, you're right. There is a major shadow influence with Batman. You know, Zorro was really the film that he watched coming out of the theater with his parents before they were murdered. But there's a definite shadow influence with Batman, especially that very, very, very first Batman comic story. That's just, it's pretty much just the shadow without the hat.
Yeah.
That's a shadow story. Let's see. And then
Mighty Mouse is problematic because he snorts drugs.
You could say you could say that there's also something implied with the whole Popeye thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon, the anime guy. What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Nice quote. Nice seeing you, Brandon. Let's see. And Penny. Oh, here we go. Took how many years to bring Namor the Submariner to live action? I don't know. I'm still waiting.
Yep. That was Namor, and he was from some Aztec underwater colony.
That was not the Submariner. I'll tell you that much. But that's going to get into what I'm here to explain today. Part of the topic that we're talking about. You have had a lot of characters. Richie Rich, Casper the Friendly Ghost, the Popeye comics, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, all these guys. Although you could almost set those characters to the side because those characters were originally created for animation and then just used in comics and everything. Disney's slightly different. You know, they own that there. But for those that weren't lucky enough to have that kind of a company behind them, yeah, breaking in to the wider entertainment so that you could get what you're getting out there to provide movies and television shows and other things to create opportunities for more profit, to sell more stuff, as a lot of us found out when you add television into the mix. Dakota rings, dolls. I mean, all that stuff was popular before. But once television became a part of our lives, really pushing all kinds of products at us became important. Let's see. Hold on. Christopher, hey guys, just popping in for a few minutes. Super busy day, but you know I love this subject. Well, thank you, Christopher. Thank you very much. So getting back to the fan base and comics and really all of that. You know, we had our own awards. We had the people that we liked and respected outside of just buying copies of their books and other things. We were able to find ways of honoring the best people, whether they be fantasy writers, science fiction writers, or others. While it took us a while to do the same thing with comic books, we eventually got there. And we've pretty much been doing that since the 70s. In fact, we've been doing conventions and everything else since at least 1939.
Yeah.
You know, we were a community unto ourselves.
Uncle Forey.
And Julius Schwartz and everyone else that helped put together a lot of events like that. And then some of them would go off and work. Uncle Forey publishing publishing magazines, and Julius Schwartz joining DC to help guide them in the 1950s with his background in science fiction. So, and during that decade, Hollywood just became obsessed with science fiction. Science fiction and horror for the most part, but mainly science fiction. Horror was mainly in the 40s. But all of that is just a part and parcel of building a fellowship between all the fans. Everybody felt good. Everybody was just doing what they liked. You could hang out with your buddies at school. You guys could have disagreements about, like, for instance, who's better? You know, Dracula or Frankenstein? I mean, at a certain age, everybody's had that conversation. You know? Oh, and for my money, it's always Frankenstein. I'm sorry. I mean, it's always Frankenstein. Dracula's all good. I love Dracula. Dracula's great, but come on, man. If you can't walk during the daylight.
Yeah. That's what you have minions for.
See, I mean, again, just a friendly discussion. Everybody has their favorites. You know, your favorite fantasy book, fantasy author, the books that you think are the best examples of that. Everybody's got their own opinion about it. And for many, many years, just like what you saw between John and I, that's the way it was. You know, I think over the last 10 to 20 years, though, I think Hollywood has gotten off, or the entertainment industry has gotten off on doing so much brand damage that for them, the only thing they had left was turning fans on each other, to use that as a way of advertising certain adaptations that may not have been the best. And it sounds like, it sounds like some tinfoil hat type stuff. But seriously, when you really look at a lot of what's been produced, and when you look at the fan base, to just sit around and say, well, it's just a bunch of bad guys, ists and phobes and all of that. It wasn't really that way when I was growing up. I didn't run into a lot of people that were a-holes for the sake of being a-holes. That doesn't mean that there weren't any. But when it came to fandom, when it came to people who liked D&D or liked certain horror films,
it's like they recently they accused old D&D players of not being inclusive. We welcomed everybody to our tables.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter the race. In fact, if we got girls to the table, we were doing everything we can to make sure they stayed.
Some of the most badass players I've ever played in D&D are ladies. Oh man, you unleash somebody's imagination into a world like that, you get to see how vicious they are. Those who actually were with me back then, you know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. Vicious. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say everything was perfect.
No.
There's always room for improvement. Okay? There was always room to improve and get better, to add more characters, to come at different stories from different points of view. And that was always a good thing. But the entertainment industry, I think, has been using all of us as a punching bag for far too long. In many cases, gaslighting way too many of us.
Yep.
And those of us lucky enough, fortunate enough, talented enough to go into the entertainment industry to try to do something, it's not that easy when you get in. It's not like you're really there to do something spectacular. Those who are above you only want you for certain things. And for the most part, you're in the way. When you look at things like, say, the success of Twilight Zone or Star Trek, when you look at the success of any of the Irwin Allen programs, you cannot tell me that Rod Serling, Irwin Allen, Gene Roddenberry, and technically Gene L. Kuhn and Dorothy Fontana, that they weren't fans. They were definitely like us. They got the opportunity to take ideas that they had and put them out there. The unfortunate thing is that nowadays, a lot of the people that end up running a lot of that stuff, especially newer versions of a lot of that, aren't really fans.
Nope. They're just in it for the money.
And it's easy for them to walk into the middle of all of this and start throwing hands and fingers and pointing and accusing and all that other stuff. That doesn't mean that they haven't faced people who were a-holes. Again,
right.
As I said earlier, there are a-holes everywhere in life. Okay?
Yep.
Newsflash, if you haven't figured that one out. Okay? But using a small set of people to basically antagonize or use that as a way of antagonizing an entire group, that's kind of wrong. And when I mean to say you can just take the word kinda out of that.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the issue started in the late 80s, early 90s when a certain kind of viewpoint was coming out of colleges, driven by professors that were involved in the 60s movements. And they imprinted on these people a certain value set that doesn't go along with the value set of a lot of us.
I can see
and
that.
they worked into positions of power, and now they're the ones saying that that we're ist and obes and whatever.
Yeah, I can see that. I also believe that there's just people who are just snobbish about this, who are just tolerating us long enough until all of this, like anything else that's just temporary, goes away. I've seen a lot of reviewers and stuff that pretty much hold that opinion. They're waiting for all us geeks and nerds. You've had your moment now. Get off the stage. We're done with this. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I believe in providing entertainment products, projects, and everything else for whoever wants to buy and get involved with it. As long as you're able to make money at it and sell it, and there's an audience for it.
Yeah. Well, going around with the D&D example, there's a Wizards of the Coast executive that said that fans are in the way between them and their money.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate because, when you look at how it started out for a lot of companies, let's just take, I don't know, Marvel Studios, for example. When Kevin Feige first started, and I'm taking some of you back. Okay, so let's all just take the Wayback Machine to about 2007, 2008. Kevin Feige was the guy who was going to lead us, really comic book fans, but mainly Marvel fans, to the promised land.
Yep.
Now remember, this is after Fox has already started with the X-Men films. Sony's already started with their Spider-Man films. Okay, but Kevin Feige was.
I was gonna say Feige got his chops on those films.
Oh yeah,
that's where he learned. That's where he learned how to produce and
how to do it right.
Yep.
And so a lot of the interviews, and you can look at any interview from that time period. The one thing you will not hear Feige saying is that we don't want fans writing these scripts. If he had done that back then, the MCU and Marvel Studios would not be a thing.
Nope.
So when you have when you have Nate Moore, when you have Victoria Alonso, but in an interview, I should say, Nate Moore was the one that says they go out of their way not to hire fans and put them in the writer's position. This is current Marvel Studios. There is a reason why Phase 4 was just not that good. It really is like a relationship gone horribly wrong. You start out dating somebody, it's all nice, you go out to dinner, you enjoy being together. Then they turn around one day and they said, well, you're not holding that fork right. I don't like the way you chew your food. And they start picking at the other person. That's really what Marvel Studios has become. They needed this in the beginning because their company was just starting. They lured us in with the promise that their main purpose was to create entertainment that not only honored the characters of Marvel Comics, but helped to highlight Marvel Comics in a way that would get you to buy more of it. In other words, it was seen as just one more way of getting more people to focus on Marvel Comics, like the television shows and the animated cartoons. Technically, that's really what all of them are doing. Doesn't matter if it's Marvel, DC, Image. But there seems to be this thing going on right now where everyone seems to be of the opinion they really don't need us.
Yeah.
They don't need the comics. They just need the IP. They just need the basic idea. Heck, in certain situations, they don't even need to really even follow the comics at all. They just want the rights to the name. Case in point, Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Newsflash. That was a character and a name created for one of the heroes of the Legion of Superheroes for DC Comics. But they allowed the producers of the film, who John G. Avildsen and others, to make a version of Rocky for kids is really what it was, and thus the Karate Kid films. But no, there's in some respects, it's almost like getting stabbed in the back after years and years and years of just, taking our money. And now one day they're saying, well, we don't need you. Or you're not looking at this right. Or we can't wait for you to die so we can start charging your kids. Oh, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. The man himself. It's Joe. How's it going, buddy?
Morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome.
So what do you think of the subject today, my friend?
Oh, I'm enjoying it. I came in to offer my little perspective on things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. They have shifted the mindset. What they started off doing was just trying to entertain us. They trying to actually, with Iron Man, they were trying to do their own production studio. They were all in on that, and and it bore fruit. And they gave us 3 phases of great entertainment. And then now that a big corporation's got it, they don't. You're right. They don't need us anymore. That's the way they act. That's they want to make it all for people that don't read comic books now. And when you alienate a fan base, you're eventually, that's the core of what you started. So it's gonna, as we all know, if the core goes, then it's just going to collapse on itself. So, and that's what we're seeing in especially in Marvel. Now, I really, Warner, I think that's just a rudderless ship. I don't give them enough credit to think that they're actually thinking they don't need us. As a matter of fact, I guess Batman versus Superman would be evidence that they are reactionary and wanting to do what the fans want to see and that kind of thing, because they went overboard trying to catch up to Marvel with that one. I mean, it was supposed to be Superman 2. It was supposed to be Man of Steel 2. It was supposed to be that. And they said, we're too far behind. We got to catch up. So that was kind of reactionary. If you can even give Warner any credit, they were actually trying to do something they thought the populace wanted to see. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. They just want the IP so they can get their message out there and to the normies, not us. They know how we're going to react to this stuff. It's obvious. I mean, just look at how a lot of these shows now start with reactionary things before the shows even come out. They'll have actors talking about racism and all kinds of ists and phobes before it even comes out, because they know how we're going to react to it. That's their defense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sad.
It
sad
is. You know what? And I'm glad you brought that up, because that leads me to something else that I want to point to. I know that there are certain individuals that are probably listening to me right now who think, well, Keith, you should be really interested in a lot of what we're producing. I mean, it's giving people of color an opportunity. And that's great. It's great. I totally understand that there are people in the entertainment industry that want to give more people of color an opportunity to be able to create and get stuff out there. But here's my thing. I have given all of you people the better part of almost 10 years. And I'm still waiting for you to actually fulfill your half of the bargain of what you said you wanted to do. Because what I've been seeing is a lot of shoddy shortcuts taken in order to do that.
This is a popular character. Let's race change them.
If you want to provide opportunities, if you want to have characters that quote unquote look, something for kids to say, I look like that person looks like me. There are a lot of characters out there to adapt.
They're already there. If you want gay characters, they're already there. They've been there for years. One of the things a lot of people freaked out about when Batwoman first came on was that it was a gay character and they're throwing it in our face. I'm like, no, guys, that character has always been a lesbian character. Always has been. That I think they get confused between Batwoman and Batgirl. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They get confused there sometimes. But
look. Oh, go ahead, John.
If they truly cared about providing representation for the black audience, they would have already made the milestone stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right down to Static Shock in the DC universe. They would have done it already.
Static Icon, Blood Syndicate. I mean, there's so much stuff they could do. Blood Syndicate would make an awesome series.
Look, I have also said that even Marvel needs to understand you've got a lot more characters than you think you do. Okay, I totally get.
They knew that before Disney got them. They knew that.
They knew that.
Just look at the Netflix stuff they did. You want to talk about an African American icon, the Power Man, Luke Cage series.
But I was going to talk about that.
How great was that?
There is a legal issue with having to wait so many years. I totally get that, but you know what? If that's your excuse, that means that you're really not looking at the whole of what Marvel has in the vault. That just means you just wanted those characters. Or in this case, two particular characters that you got out of the Netflix.
Yep.
But I seem to know that Kevin Graveau created a character from Marvel called Blue Marvel.
Yeah.
Where's that character? I'm still waiting.
Nate Moore wants to adapt Blue Marvel. And I'm like, but you don't want fans in the writer's room. So how are you going to adapt a character like that without the source material?
Yeah.
It's all gobbledygook. It's all just weird talk. And again, you didn't start out that way when you needed our money and you needed our time, but now you don't need us anymore. And that's fine. That's great. I can go do something else with my time and money.
Yes, you can. Vote with your wallet, folks. Vote with your wallet. That's the best way to tell them.
There are a lot of creators out there who are waiting to hear, even from the rest of you out in the entertainment industry, that say that you want to help with representation. There's an event, Heroes Rise, that has been going on for a few years out in California. Black Comics Day, where it's nothing but all creatives. Oh, we have reached We have reached the middle here of the show, and we all know what that means. Yes.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the middle of the film.
No, you have an event which is filled with all kinds of Black creatives. People that have had jobs working for DC, Marvel, Image, and also a lot of independent people. And my advice to the entertainment industry is get off your butts, go down there, pick somebody, make a movie. Now, they've been having this for a few years, but I'm willing to let it slide that a lot of you guys have been busy. You know, the whole COVID thing, not enough money thing. We seem to be coming out the other side of this. So if you're still one of those people wanting that, here's your opportunity. Go down there. And especially for someone that's been independent all their careers, you could really, really make their decade. If you went down there and offered them the opportunity to take their character and put them in a $20 million movie. Notice, I just said $20 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't say 75. I didn't say 125. I didn't say 200 million. I said 20.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you really got to spend more than that, you got to learn to justify. That's also another thing. A lot of them have really screwed up. But that gets me going in a different direction. And I want to keep it to this particular issue. We can do that for another show about a lot of the wasteful spending.
Yeah.
A lot of these characters do not require you to spend that much money. And I'm looking right at the MCU when I say this. I am still flabbergasted on how you could spend all that money on a Black Widow movie when you only needed to spend the amount that it took to make a Bourne film.
We all wanted to see Budapest. We all wanted a spy movie, and they turned her into a super. She should have died about 5 times in that movie. I mean, I enjoyed it because I like really pretty girls. So yeah, I did enjoy that part of it. But as far as the story, you know what the best part of that movie is? The opening when the Red Guardian was getting his family out of the US.
Yes.
That was that had a Bourne Identity feel to it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
They should have stayed with that.
Derailed after that, man. You know,
they should have treated it like the Winter Soldier film with the feeling, and then kept it. They should have kept the cost down by almost making it like a Bourne film.
Yes. She's a human character with no special powers. She's just really good at use it. I hate to say it for all you fembots out there, but she uses her feminine charms to get information to screw over the bad guy. That's what she does. That's why she's called the Black Widow. She's good at it.
Isn't that what we saw in
we saw it in the first 3 phases in every movie.
You saw it in the movie The Avengers. The first time you saw Black Widow.
First time you see her, she's locked up and she's charming the shit out of the bad guy. It's hilarious, you know?
And they came out with that.
Yeah. It's a shame. It really is. Well, that movie, we all know that movie was a good maybe 3-4 years late anyway.
Anyway,
should have been way before that.
Should have been phase 1.
Should have been phase 1. 2. Really, they could have added that to. I mean, you had the major 4. You had the Hulk. You had Captain America. You had Thor, and you had Iron Man. You had their origin movies. Yeah, you could have added that as a 5th one. Absolutely.
They could have done that between Iron Man 2 and
they
Iron
could have
Man
made Hawkeye because he was in the original one too. They could have made her and Hawkeye into the have theirs together.
Yeah,
and since they don't have superpowers and they're espionage agents and assassins, do them together. You know, do the Budapest thing for their origin thing, right?
It's all espionage.
Yeah,
all of it. And that's a section of Marvel that doesn't get talked about very much.
That and the street level guys that Netflix actually they made a really good universe on Netflix. Even the worst show, which was Iron Fist, was decent. You know,
Hey, compared to what they put out with Disney Plus now,
it makes Iron Fist look fantastic now, doesn't it? Ugh. My brother reads religiously the Iron Fist story, and he called it Iron Puss when we watched it. That's what he called it. But compared to what they're putting out now, it's dynamite. Go watch it. You'll get a lot more than what they're putting out now.
And you were going to say, John?
Oh, as I say, the only really good Marvel Disney Plus properties they've put out is the 2 specials, Werewolf by Night and the Holiday Special.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, those are good. And
Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, don't forget Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, Ms. Marvel.
I really was expecting that to be garbage, and it ended up being good.
I liked it.
But it shows you where their passions are.
Mm-hmm.
They're just using the other IPs to get a message across, but they're passionate about that one, and they put the time into making it a family story and a teenage level story, and it was good.
It was good.
That just shows you where their passions are with those characters.
And it's again, I know it seems like we're ganging up on really Marvel Studios and the MCU, but let me just say this: when you've made as much money off of all of us as you have, then of course you're going to be pretty much at the forefront of when I start pointing fingers at people just doing us wrong.
Hello.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, that's just the way it worked out.
Yep.
You've made a lot of money off of us. And at the very least, Kevin Feige, from what I'm seeing, Kevin Feige is really just too busy. And that's fine. That's going to happen. But you put 2 people in charge that aren't doing anything. They're not moving everything forward. They're actually stagnating what you're doing. They're taking everything you've built, and they've either stopped it in its tracks or they're regressing is what they're doing. And if you're going to be spending $150 to $200 million on a feature, don't you think you would like to at least increase your chances of making all that money back and also profiting, for the people who you actually work for? Because if you're not interested in that, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. If I can, let me answer TJ's question there about She-Hulk. You haven't seen it. If you enjoyed the comic book version, especially, it's based on the John Byrne run. That's what they say it's based on. Loosely based on the John Byrne run.
It's got actually more to do with Dan Slott's run.
Yes, it does. This I don't know how to put this. If you didn't read the John Byrne books, you might not even see the faults we have with it. But me personally, I'm a huge fan of the. I've chronicled this on this show several times. I'm a huge fan of the Byrne run, and they took that and it's almost subversive what they did, man. They used the same framework. They broke the fourth wall and all that good stuff, but they turned her into a Karen, literally looking for the manager. It was horrible.
Well, here, let me welcome in Gary,
the boss.
And
yeah, I just want to see how you're doing.
I'm doing great. I was just going to say,
you feeling it?
Yeah, I'm feeling it. This guy, Gary Cassell, has actually worked in the industry, okay? He can tell you. He has been saying for a long time how out of sorts the entire comic book industry is. Right, Gary?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not it's known that I was hired in 2013, 2014, right in that window. I forget which, right in that window. Andy Schmidt hired me for IDW to be a cover artist for G.I. Joe. And yet I didn't do a cover for G.I. Joe until this year or this last year. I finally got my G.I. Joe cover because the guy that took it over was woke. And he hated me because I was conservative and a veteran. That's what I was told. That's why he never worked with me. The marching orders that Andy Schmidt gave before he left IDW to go to Hasbro to take over Transformers G.I. Joe for Hasbro was this is our new guy, hire him. Give him some covers. Nothing. Guy wouldn't respond to me, gave me static. That's all. Never responded to a single phone call or message. And that's just a sign of how bad it got. And that was,
worse.
7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's gotten worse for a lot of other people. I mean, now that you're hearing reports of some people not getting paid, which really that's kind of crappy.
Well, that's the sort of stuff we heard about, like Blue Water. And I knew I've worked with him over at Blue Water Comics, and I got paid, but I heard other people were not getting paid, and I've heard that from other comic insiders that they did work for specific publishers and didn't get paid for their work.
Wow, that's never a good sign. That is never a good sign for any business. That is never a good sign not to pay people. I mean, you've got to.
Can I ask you something, Gary? Can I ask you something? You said you got your cover this year. Is that right?
This last year, yeah.
Okay.
Or was it this year? No, it was last year.
What was your experience last year with it? I mean, have they changed management? What's the deal there?
Well, Tom, my buddy Tom, who's the senior writer for IDW, we've been friends and we're business partners. We owned a company called Charlie Foxtrot Entertainment together, which those of you in the military know that means clusterfuck entertainment.
I wasn't going to say that, but go.
And I named it. I thought it was a funny name. Dale Dye was one of the owners. John Del Vecchio. These are not just people I know and work with. They're friends of mine and business partners. And Charlie Foxtrot could make a comeback because we did get some stuff done. But I'm here at the comic shop. What issue, Gary? Fuck.
Was it 292?
Yeah,
was it 292? I forget the number now.
The variant.
It was one of the variant covers because they always IDW does that for financial reasons to make more money. They do variant covers. I did the variant cover that had Duke punching Snake, Cobra Commander, and then was it 2 issues later, the final issue, they replicated my cover with another artist and didn't give me a fucking thanks for coming up with that idea.
It's the retailer incentive cover.
Yeah, it's it just bugged me that it's dad joke time. I know, Bush. It happens. It happens.
Just wondering if the attitude of management there had changed, and that's why you got your cover.
I'm not going to criticize management because I'm friends with a lot of those guys. Ted Adams, Chris Ryle. These are guys I know. I've heard a lot of criticism of these guys. They've always been nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if
I
was
just wondering what changed.
And this has been done
this time around. That's all.
Well, you run into them at a convention and say my name, they'll go, "Yeah, yeah, I know him. Yeah, say hi to him." I was an IDW workhorse. I did a lot of stuff that I don't get credit for. I designed logos. Infestation. Remember that series? It crossed over the zombie series, Star Trek, all of it. Transformers. That logo, I designed it. I'm the one who designed that logo. They would turn to me like, "We need this. Can you get this too?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I would just go do shit, fixed artwork. I'm only listed as the colorist on the A-Team with Chuck Dixon, but I actually fixed a lot of that artwork that was in that comic because I got mad. I'm like, don't change your light sources. I hate it when an artist doesn't understand their own light sources.
Yeah,
it's lazy.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to ask, pertinent to the subject matter. We all know, and this is for any of you out there that don't know this, everything that's going on in the movies right now has been happening in the comic books for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And that's why the state of comics is in the state it's in now, is because of all that activist garbage that's been going on in comics.
By the way, my problem with that version, it doesn't look right because the colors don't work. And the reason why is because that's CMYK. You actually have to see the printed comic for the colors to actually work correctly.
It doesn't look like it has very good highlights in it.
No, it's once again, I blame the CMYK for that. It actually does look better. But when I do my art print of this, I'm actually going to color it myself because my
there you
better.
go.
I'm a better colorist than whoever
you know
colored
you are.
this.
You know you are. I was fixing to say, I know you didn't color that.
Yeah, I didn't.
For sure.
I was going to, but Tom's like, no, don't worry about it. I got it covered. We got a regular G.I. Joe colorist. I'm like, oh, then it'll be. And then I got it. I'm like, I was like, this is my reaction. Seriously, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
When I saw those colors, I was like,
nice.
Really?
But I'm wondering, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, what do you think it's going to take to turn it around? And do you think it'll start at the comic book level, or is it going to start at the studio level?
Look, the problem with look, let's do a history lesson here real quick. Comic books haven't turned a profit since 1974. Comics were designed to basically break even, the way that the industry was. And they were breaking even back when they were still printing on newsprint. Okay? With dot matrix fucking colors. Right, Keith?
Yes.
Yeah. They were breaking even with that. Then somebody had this tremendously fucking moronic idea. Let's put it on better paper and do laser web printing to where it's like there's no dots in it. It's just going to be so smooth and look really good. And then we'll double, triple, and then quadruple the prices of the comics, and then wonder why the industry is dying. Oh, and let's make a deal with a distributor who's going to use strong arm mob tactics to force mom and pop comic shops to buy comics that can't sell. But it'll look good to us because our numbers will look good. They're fake numbers because the comics aren't really selling. We're forcing those sales to the mom and pop operations. The industry was murdered. It didn't die. It was murdered.
That's
by that cocksucker at Diamond Comics, and DC Comics and Marvel were complicit in that fucking murder. They may not have done the stabs, but they were handing Diamond Comics the fucking weapons to do the damage.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, man, because that's exactly what made the prices go through the roof on the comic books. And I'm actually thinking about, when I do the Privateer, when it comes out, I'm thinking about putting it on the, just above newsprint type.
Do like Kiss and use your real blood in the ink.
Yeah, hell. But you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I
know what you're saying.
Yeah,
this is something Keith and I have preached. And remember, Keith, when we started doing that like 2 years ago, going, you want to drop, you want to see sales go up, and you drop the price of those comics. Drop the price. Start printing on better quality newsprint. Yeah, you can actually still have higher quality paper than what they used to do comics on, and go back to printing. What do they call that? 4-color printing.
Yes.
Where true 4-color printing, where it's it's screened on, instead of doing, it's a cheaper process, and stop doing what is that, true bound comics. Only trade paperback. Only trade paperback books and graphic novels should be true bound. Everything else should be saddle stitch. Drop that fucking price by over half.
I mean, really
watch
thinking
sales
about
go up,
doing it, and even maybe just calling it retro comics or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, stop
just
talking like an old
it.
guy. Jesus Christ, Joe.
Well, look.
Where did you use that word?
You
retro.
You are the pot calling the kettle black, fella.
I know.
Don't tell everybody that.
First of all, thank you, Gary. That's exactly what we needed to hear. We need to hear from someone that actually worked in a lot of this, because that leads back to everything else. We are getting used and abused, and really, they would not have made it this far without us. But they definitely think they can go farther without us from here on out. And
now, some people, by the way, Keith would say that I'm hurting my, career. I'm at the end of my career. I'm almost 60 years old, and I got to be honest, I'm tired of working for other people. And so I'm probably never going to do anything again for IDW. But the people at IDW know that I'm very loyal to them personally. But Chris Ryland Ted Adams, they left IDW. There's other people running it. Tommy Boy is the only friend of mine still there, really, I think. I don't think I have any other friends at IDW, and it's like, and I will always be loyal to Tom. Tom is one of the greatest motherfuckers you'll ever meet on this planet. His work on My Little Pony, I know I giggle when I say it because I make fun of him, because it's like Tom was a Marine and fucking Army. He did both. He was in the Marines first and then joined the Army.
Wow.
And he My Little Pony. And I say that and turn right around and fucking Chuck Dixon wrote The Simpsons and SpongeBob, comics. So I think it's kind of, look, I'm going to admit it, I think it's kind of gay, working those things. But I got to tell you, man, it's money, it's a paycheck, and they did a good job. And my favorite stuff with Tom is the shit he's doing now with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think that he is, a lot of people get after it because it's kind of woke with the female. I don't fucking care. I like the female Ninja Turtle. I like the way they're drawn. I like the stories. Tom's a very good fucking writer. I tell people all the time, woke doesn't mean it's bad, but it does denote that it's probably going to be bad. It just doesn't mean it's going to be bad all the time. And I have seen a lot of woke stuff that I'm like, you know what? This is actually well written. I'll enjoy this. And I've watched movies and shows that were moderately a little woke. But then again, the shit that we all grew up on was a little woke for its time. Star Trek was fucking woke. It was
You
woke
can't tell
as
me the
fuck.
X-Men comic book wasn't woke.
It
You
was
can't tell me
woke
that.
as fuck.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yeah.
And I will fucking read, watch, enjoy woke stuff as long as it's fucking good.
As
the
long as they
problem
don't-
we've had for the
as
last
long as
20
the main
fucking
part of
years
the story
is a
isn't
lack
about-
in quality. We get activists and not fucking people that are professional at what they do.
Yep.
And
They're
that's
not
what we
good
need.
writers. They're not good artists. Although I saw something just recently. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to say this, and I don't give a shit what anybody says to me. I will see artists working on woke shit, and I'm like, this is a garbage comic. But God damn it, that's actually a good artist right there.
Yeah.
I did not like the Joker getting pregnant comic. I thought it was fucking stupid. It was insulting to the intelligence. The butt baby. I mean, they took a Tenacious D joke and went way too far with it. But I got to tell you, I actually like that guy's artwork. I like a lot of the artwork I'm seeing with some of these assholes.
Yeah.
But even some of the stuff I've seen recently with the crappy X-Men stuff, still the artwork's actually pretty good on some of it.
That's the sad fact, is to watch the quality of a lot of this stuff go down.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than seeing a good artist on a really bad comic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and I'm glad you bring up the fact that you will watch some woke stuff as long as the story isn't driven by the activist part of it, the gender and all that
Look,
stuff. As long
Jeebus,
as it's a
I
good
absolutely will
character,
fucking call bullshit on your statement, because as an artist, professional artist, that has made an entire career as an artist, I think my opinion holds a little more merit than yours, buddy, on that. And that artwork was different. It may not be artwork you liked, but it's a stylistic form of artwork. And I happen to like simplistic art like that. I hate the excessive fucking hatching we see today. There's an artist that we all know that we work with. I gave the criticism through somebody, stop putting so much fucking hatching in your artwork. It looks amateur. And they
wrong. I'm gonna go check the back door. Back door.
I love Monkey Jeebus, but no, you're full of shit on that, buddy. Because once again, I'm giving you a professional opinion, not my personal opinion.
Can I say something, Gary?
No, fuck you, Joe.
Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate that. No, you bring up a good point, man. Don't be so rigid that you don't keep an open mind when you're looking at stuff, guys. I mean, just because somebody in the past has done something woke that pissed you off, judge for yourself. Don't sit here and go, okay, my crew says this, then I'm not, for instance, the new Last of Us show. I'm enjoying it so far. I know where it's going.
I liked it.
there's certain people in our sphere that aren't watching it on purpose because they know where it's going.
Again, I'm going to call bullshit. Look, Bush, you didn't hear what I fucking said. Apparently, let me rephrase it for you, buddy. I said you may like it or not like it. That's your personal thing. My opinion on whether it's quality or good is based solely off of the professional aspect of doing a job, being consistent. Like Joe, some people may or may not like his artwork. Some people may or not like my artwork. That doesn't mean we're not good at what we fucking do. That's what I'm saying. I don't parse words with people. I don't. Keith knows this. I will fucking lay it out honest with you. I will never fucking bullshit you or lead you in the wrong direction. But if somebody tells me they don't like artwork, that's fine. That's fine. That's your personal preference. But when you tell me it's not good artwork, fuck you. I know good artwork when I fucking see it. Whether you like it or not. Whether I like it or not.
Again, all this conversation, as I said at the very beginning, is a part of what we as fans, nerds, geeks, whatever you want to call us, we've always done this. EVS
has an agenda. I don't have one.
You bring in a lot of this corporate entertainment stuff, and that's when things, especially over this last decade or so, that's when a lot of things changed.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that I don't think so much has happened that you can't get back to that. But I think it's mainly for those of us that have grown up fans, as I said earlier, who were made fun of in school for being nerds and geeks and other things. We can always get back to just being friends and enjoying what we like. The hard part is for those that didn't have that are kind of new to all this, who these companies are attempting to cater to, who aren't that big into it. That's the thing. They would rather have them than us. And my thing is, hey, that's fine. If you would rather have this person over here and try to get them and lure them in to spend their money, I got nothing against that. But don't come after me personally and otherwise when you fail.
Right.
Saying that I've sabotaged or I've badmouthed or something that I did. Look, you didn't want me and you didn't want my money. So
again, okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting really annoyed. You guys are going again after something that is your personal fucking preference. It's Bush. It's all it is. It's a personal preference. You don't dig it. I get that. I don't have any problem with you not liking it. What I'm telling you is don't tell me that it's not stylistically something. Because look, if you go after Charles Addams, let's say Charles Addams never was famous for doing the Addams Family, the little cartoon strips. If you were to judge him by comic book art standards, he'd be considered garbage. If we base this off of EVS's statement, look, not everybody fucking studied the Joe Kubert way of doing comic books. Two of the best inkers in the industry, in my opinion, are Richard Bonk and fucking EVS. And let's not forget Graham Nolan. But these guys all follow the Joe Kubert way of doing comic books. But some people aren't comic book artists, they're illustrators. How do you parse that? Well, if you don't know the difference, how the fuck can you parse it? You guys are criticizing something based off of that. And I'm just telling you, I get it. I respect your opinion. You don't like it. But don't tell me that it's not still like quality artwork just because it's woke. I consider the writing the garbage part of that, right, not the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I won't attack other artists.
It really is something that has devolved over the last few years, and it's just something that has become a wedge issue in fandom.
Right.
Fandom isn't really the bad guy. As I said earlier, you're going to have assholes.
We're never the enemy. We're never the enemy. We are never. We are the customers.
Yeah.
We're the paying customers.
Yeah.
That's how you got to look at it. It's like, could you imagine like Walgreens attacking, customers? It's like, you aren't something. And so we don't want you buying stuff from our store.
Yeah.
Do you understand how stupid that is?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I mean-
whenever you see a studio or a network or a publisher doing that shit, this is clearly bad management.
Mhm.
This is
Race
bad
baiting
management,
before the show
managerial
comes
decisions.
out, you know, of giving excuses why the fans won't like it before the show even comes out. Those are clear signs that they already know they've got a stinker on their hands, and they're going to make sure that the core fans
absolutely
are going to be the target of what they're saying. Yeah, it's
well, and to address Bill Barkley, woke, woke didn't become a bad word until the last 15 years. I mean, there's been a lopsided angle to woke since we were kids.
Mhm.
Keith and I guarantee you, Keith knew just as many shitheads as I did in school that had fucked up ideas about the way, that believe in equity rather than equality.
Oh.
We need equity. What do you mean by equity? I thought it was all about equality. You have the equal ability and right to do it. It's like comedian asked a feminist the other day. I watched the video. I don't know if it may have been recorded before that, but he says, "Can you name one right that men have that women don't have and don't get to use?" And the woman couldn't respond because there isn't one.
Right.
There's nothing. So what are they fighting for? It's ridiculous. Woke used to be a good word.
Mhm.
And what I hate is it was what's the word I'm looking for, Keith, where somebody takes over something like a plane hijacked. It's hijacked by a bunch of fucking assholes.
It's a coup is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Diversity used to be a good word.
Yeah.
Now
you
used
hear
as a
diversity
shield
and
so
I
they can
immediately
act
go,
bad.
I
Now
back
they're
away from it.
Now they use it as a shield to act bad. That's what they use it for.
That's exactly what it is.
Equity means everybody gets the same thing, and that's bullshit.
Yep.
Equality is what you want. You have the ability to get the same thing as the other person, but it's up to you to fucking do it. I just watched that ad again last night. Oprah Winfrey and the Smithsonian talking about medicine in the United States is racist. No, it's not. No, it's not. Where you see the numbers that they're talking about in that show, there's also depressed white people not getting the same treatment. It's a rich versus poor thing. The medical field is very prejudiced against people who don't have money or insurance. They absolutely are. A lot of my Republican friends will go, "Oh, well, you can do again, here's the joke, backdoor policy of just going to the ER. Go to the ER. You don't have to pay that because then eventually other people have to pay for that, right? You know how that works in the hospital system. They overcharge for shit to make up for the money they lose with that. But the problem is, I worked in the ER and I know how the ER works. The ER's job is to kick your ass out unless you're fucking dying if you're not insured. If you're not insured, get them the fuck out of here unless they're dying. Come back when you're dying. Problem is, 90% of those people don't make it. They die before they get to come back. So the backdoor policy they have with the ER using that doesn't work. People are dying in droves because they're fucking poor and can't afford insurance. So the Oprah Winfrey special, don't fucking watch it. It's racist as fuck. It's giving you misinformation. And if it's misinformation, it's wrong information.
Yeah.
Well, and again, everything is right now just designed to really cause a lot of blowback and a lot of drama within all of this. Again,
it's all about creating the subterfuge all the time.
Yeah,
You're constantly got the wheels going.
To
Create problems.
To distract from the fact that the quality of what is being provided for the money spent by us, the fans and customers, isn't the best.
Amen.
So over the last 10 years, while we've been increasing their profits, the quality of what they're providing for us is going this way.
Money going up. Well, it's supposed to be going up, but they're losing money. They are. By the way, Donnie Pearson, hi, and yeah, David Crosby. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Bummer.
But he's fucking old. These guys are old. Mick Jagger's in his fucking 70s, you know. Still kicking it. We're lucky we still got him. That's how I look at it. Paul McCartney last, him and Ringo last of the Beatles. And I don't think did they ever really like each other? I can't remember.
What, Paul?
It seemed like
and
George
Ringo?
Harrison and Ringo were the closest. It was George and Ringo and John and Paul that were friendly.
Yeah. That's another show that we need to do. But I will say this to try to get us into position. There are things that can be done, though. First and foremost, we need more real fans in the business. We need more of them to speak up.
Oh my God! Yeah, who was it that said that? The head of Marvel said no fan writers.
Yeah, they don't want any fans.
Yeah,
Nate Moore.
Yeah,
Nate
Who
Moore.
is that? Who is
Nate
that?
Moore. He's the guy that was one of the producers that was brought in along with Victoria Alonso, who the two of them have effectively taken over Marvel Studios, basically. Between Nate Moore and Victoria Alonso,
Put Monkey's comment back up.
Yeah.
There you go, Monkey. There, you're not full of shit.
There you go, bro.
Monkey, you know, if I love all you guys.
It is. It is unfortunate that we've reached a point where we've had to have this type of a discussion to get people to understand. When I talk about, say, as an example, Star Trek, I don't hate other Star Trek fans. I just believe that what Kurtzman's producing is just not of the quality and not worthy of not only of my time, but my money. Yep. I don't have to spend my money on that. If you enjoy what Kurtzman produces, more power to you. Really, I mean that. More power to you. You know.
Can I say something about that real quick? It's almost like it's almost like a car on a bad wheel, Star Trek right now, because every once in a while it grips the road. Like when Strange New Worlds came out, they went back to the episodic formula where you didn't have to miss everything if you missed an episode. They encapsulated the story in one episode. They have some through lines, but mostly it's missions every time, which is what the original show was. But then you get that episode where you got the Predator monster. I mean, it was
that was so
every
silly.
trope. They ripped every trope out of every friggin' science fiction movie about a.
And I tried to enjoy Strange New Worlds. I really did. There's 2 episodes I thought were good. Yeah. One really good, the other one kind of halfway good.
Yeah.
And several of the episodes had really good moments in them, but they would then be what do you call it? Subverted by stupidity in the next scene.
Yeah.
So, but if you turn I got to tell you, Kurtzman is, I'm going to go one better with you than that. Go to the store and you grab a cart, and that cart's got a fucking wheel.
Yeah.
Got a fucking wheel. And you have got a lot of shopping to do.
And
you're
you've got to
stuck
fight
with
it
that
the whole way
fucking
around
wheel, not only annoying you, but everybody around you.
Yeah.
And it
That's
locks.
better.
I've had this happen. You're pushing the cart along, it locks on you, and you fucking slam into somebody or something. That's Kurtzman and Star Trek.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I think it is. It is. It's a bum wheel. It's running around with a fucking bad wheel. But here's Kurtzman and why. He's also the guy that could fix it, and he refuses.
Of course,
fuck Alex Kurtzman and the horse he rode it, or other gay dude that he rode in on.
I don't think
he's under, maybe. The horse he's under, maybe.
I don't even think the man's gay. I think.
Well, who knows? I showed because you're not officially gay until you do it twice or admit you like it.
Well, I mean, he got rid of the gay guy who actually created everything. You know.
Oh, that's right. Betrayed him. It's not the first time you betrayed somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I just think that for all of you who think you're really supporting that, you have to understand you have built all of this on a massive amount of betrayal of the man who actually created all of it.
Yeah, Discovery was a completely different show.
Yep.
Before Kurtzman got involved. When you say sword, are you talking about an actual sword or his penis?
Oh my!
I never know. Oh my! You never know. With Kurtzman, you never know.
Let me just say this, okay?
How dare you?
I really am a fan of Star Trek, and I've really been a fan of a lot of the sequel shows. So it's been disappointing for me to see where everything has gone with the Next Generation cast and crew. Will I watch Picard season 3? I'm a little curious because certain people who I do admire have been telling me, it's actually pretty good.
Let's all tell the truth. We're all going to check in on it because it's got the original cast of Next Generation.
True. We've been waiting since season 1. And again,
it made no... that we've all been talking about. And Keith, you tell me your thoughts on this, because I think you and I are simpatico on this, is that by supporting season 3, you support the previous seasons with it. And that's why this season should have been a third season of Picard. It should have been its own show, a one-off.
Yeah, I feel you on that, Gary.
It should have had its own name and not been part of Picard. That was a fuck up. And because the minute you do, you say that season 1 and 2 exist. If you want season 3 and like it and give them the numbers they want, then season 1 and 2 exist. Am I right or wrong on that?
Yeah, you're right. Look, it is hard for me to justify, after all these years of watching Star Trek and being a fan and looking at its development and change over the years as it morphed into Berman Trek and eventually became JJ Trek and finally Kurtzman Trek. It's difficult for me to sit here when I see stuff that's just not worthy of my time, and I know I'm not some rich guy driving fancy cars and with a yacht, but my time is just as valuable. And so, I've given all that I could to Kurtzman Trek. I have. I've given as much as I'm willing to give. And my life is reached a point where, you know what? If I don't have to watch it, I won't. I'll just watch something else.
Exactly. And by the way, Monkey Jeeves, I just read your message to me. That's good.
I think overall, if Star Trek were to go away, I would hope to be able to see something either like an Orville or something else replace it for a while. Because
have we heard anything on the Orville?
No, and there's no reason for Disney to say anything at this point. I mean, again, we got to wrap our heads around that. Disney actually does own the Orville. And so there's no real reason for them to actually bring it back. There's no incentive for them. Seriously. And so really it's all about us fans contacting them, letting them know how much we enjoy it. Because they've had the numbers for a while. They know how well it did, but we haven't heard anything because it's not foremost in their minds. The board's trying to not get perp walked out of the Magic Kingdom. So,
well, exactly. And by the way, somebody brought up the best thing about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds was Anson Mount's Pike, which I agree with that. But you and I talked about this ad nauseum. That yes, I actually thought the relationship between him and Peck Spock was really also good. But the problem is that's not canon. Who was Pike's best friend?
Oh, that's Dr. Piper.
Number 1.
Yep. Dr. Piper.
In the original show,
Dr.
it was
Piper.
number 1, wasn't it? Oh,
No,
yeah.
no,
That's
no,
right.
Doctor.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot the scene where they were drinking. Yeah. I forgot about that.
They were
He
close
was
friends.
his doctor and his bartender.
Doctor and his buddy. Yep.
Because Gene had the idea that there was this triangle of relationships that should be through the commanding officer, the captain, his senior medical officer, and through his number 1. They were going to have that trinity, but number 1 didn't work for the network. So Spock got moved in that position. And Nimoy, once he understood, because he had trouble, that from reading, we've read about it. He talked about how he was trying to understand who Spock was on the show.
Yeah.
And once we understood that number one was supposed to be, that's Spock now. Spock is one with because he actually did the intensified emotions. There you go. And who wrote that one?
This one was David Alexander, but he was interviewing Gene Roddenberry himself to do it. Okay. This is from Gene Roddenberry himself with Mr. Stephen Whitfield. Okay. So that's what you need to. Oh, and of course, David Gerard. This book is, I think, out of print, along with the sequel book that he wrote that I've read so many times.
What do you have the book from Kuhn, though, don't you? Don't you have Gene Kuhn's book?
Gene Kuhn?
You know, that sounded really racist. I just that really sounded fucking racist. And you got that book by Kuhn. Come on, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the look. I took that photo of him at his birthday.
Oh man, too good.
Yeah, I love anything William Shatner talks when he talks about this stuff.
So I know I've done. Look, Gary and I are just speaking, as fans. We've done our homework. We've read the books. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, George Takei, I'm gonna give you the best William Shatner quote ever from SNL. Get a life.
Get a life. That's
Get a
it,
fucking
bro.
life.
That was
Stop
one of the
making everything about your grudge against the guy who had the job that you didn't have. It's not his fault. He was the star of the show.
Right. That was one of the greatest skits on Saturday Night Live ever.
Yeah,
man.
and people act like that was
fantastic.
actually Shatner saying that. It's like, no, he did. That was it was
a
like
skit.
a heightened version of himself.
Yeah.
He loves fans.
Yes.
He loves them. That's the same guy who told that little boy that saw him on his camper because he lived in a fucking pickup truck camper for years. And he would hunt and fish to feed himself. And this little kid saw him setting up his fishing rod on the back of his camper and says, "Aren't you Captain Kirk?" And he says, "Shh, I'm on an away mission."
Again, just like what happened when both David Bowie and Prince passed, Shatner goes, that's going to break fandom for a bit.
What's that one? Which one?
I said, just like when Prince and David Bowie passed, Shatner passes, that's going to break fandom for a bit.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, even Prince, Michael Jackson, and fucking David Bowie, I think were one of the biggest blows to those of us who grew up in the 80s.
Well, they were holding reality together,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, Prince.
No
killed
matter
me
what
because
you
I had a chance
believe
to
or
see him.
think about Michael Jackson, can't take away from what he contributed to the pop music zeitgeist. That guy changed modern music. Prince did too.
Yeah.
Prince brought funk back.
Yeah, he did.
And David Bowie, yes, look at this. Two classic fucking musician groups that came from the 60s fucking did the 80s better than most of your 80s artists. David Bowie with that fucking dance album,
China Girl, all that. Yep.
China Girl, all that. That's some of the best borderline new wave music ever. Yes, Turns Around, band that did Roundabout, fucking makes the single best 80s album of the 80s. Owner of a Lonely Heart was on there. I forget the name of the album. It's a number. I have it. I own it. I could probably just go look for it, but I'm not gonna because I'm lazy. But absolutely, that because if nobody watches him, you need to start watching. If you love music like we do, Rick Beato is one of the best YouTube channels you can watch when it talks about music. He does breakdowns of what made these songs great. He explains in explicit detail of why modern music sucks. He doesn't just say, I'm old. I'm going to tell you I hate new modern music. No, he's explaining to you why it's bad, why it's actually bad, why it is really actually showing you the scientific method of why it fucking sucks.
Because corporations have taken over the making of music.
Yeah, it's no longer about art. It's not an art form anymore.
And guess what? That brings us back around to what this was about today. How corporations have basically tried to take over
corporate music, corporate comics,
It's
corporate movies,
actually,
corporate TV.
since you want to put it together, it's almost like it's a propaganda machine, isn't it, fellas?
Yeah,
propaganda machine meant to boost either an ideology or
both of them
to support
music
a company
and film. Yeah.
There's no more focus of putting out quality.
Yeah.
To make money.
The thing is that artists are artists for a reason. Executives are executives for a reason. You know,
man, there's a lot of backdoor shit today. I'm telling you.
Wow.
I get on a show.
That was great.
I get on a show and I just bring it down by being here because there's going to be backdoor.
That was
I'm sorry, guys. It's my fault.
No. Open your back door, baby. Loosen your hinges, I'll show you my key.
I love how that actually looks like a vagina.
I was fixing to say, man, the keyhole itself is like, whoa.
Yeah, it's the clitoris, the labia minora, labia majora. Yeah, menorah is not just something you see in Judaism. It's actually on every girl.
Every girl's finely trimmed landing spot. Yeah, there you go.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
But yeah, it's all a propaganda machine now. It's not quality. It's get the message out, and this is the vehicle we're going to use.
And again, when you take the fans out of anything, what you're left with isn't really worthy of a lot of fan support.
Well, that video you sent me earlier today was really good, Keith. And it's funny because the other video you sent about Mount Rushmore, I'd actually seen it like 3 or 4 times before. I love that video. But the one I liked was that dude talking about how Halo, some of the other shows and movies where they're like, they want to change it from the game or the comic or the book because people have read it. So therefore we don't want to give them what they want. We want to go in a different direction. It's like, why did you do that? First of all, you've chosen a property that's popular with a group of people, and it's because of that popularity that makes you want to turn it into a new franchise, right? But then you turn right around and do something that makes no sense with it by changing it so much that it doesn't resemble it anymore. And then it's like other people, the idiots out there go, well, that one's not for you, it's for us. And I'm like, that's just stupid. That's just bad marketing.
It is. Why would you?
And they all flop every single time they do it. It flops, right?
You take time, effort to put out a product, but it's not for everyone. Okay, then you shouldn't be surprised when it doesn't make all its money.
Or it's not for the fan base.
Yeah,
the actual living fan base.
And the video I sent you was from Christian Harloff. It was a segment out of his. He made a very good point, which is, as you said, I mean. It goes to once you start shutting the fans out, once you stop not allowing the fans to express themselves, the ones who are in the industry, once that stops, why should any of us support it, even though it's calling itself something? If you stop talented people from making comics, why should we support the comics? If you stop them from making the television shows, why should we support the television shows? If you stop them from making the movies, Nate Moore, why should we support the films? You don't want our money.
Another thing that bugs me about the entertainment industry is their focus on looking for good reviews from critics and not giving a shit about the fan base.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like, okay, first of all, a critic has never fucking made you money. They don't pay you any money. You pay them. Critics are actually, most of the critics out there that are shills for a reason because they get something, reparations of some sort for their positive reviews, right? So why are you fucking concerned with people that don't really make you any money? And that is the stupidity of people in the industries that I don't understand. It makes zero sense. When you go to Rotten Tomatoes, they only focus on the left review numbers. The numbers you need to pay attention to, and the studios need to focus on, is that reviews on the right. That's the ones that's making the money. Those are the reviews that should fucking matter, and yet they ignore them. That fucking fresh thing that they have there, how many times have we seen it in the last few years that it's certified fresh, but then you look at the fan reviews and it's splat. Rotten Tomato.
You know, with that,
bad.
That's a nice way of
Was that the
wrapping
end of the
all
show?
of this up.
Oh.
Yeah, we've reached that point. So let me just go ahead first of all and thank Gary, Joe, John, and Martine for being here on my first show for, under our new
Banner.
bosses and new banner. And also just go ahead and start the thank yous. Penny, D-Bud Martin, Dragon Roos, Kristen Delamore, The Dark Knight, Monkey Jeebus, Marcus A, Joe Atmosphere, Anima Confusa, Thunderstruck, Shadow Dragon, Small Time Republic, Cavatino's Cavalryman Che, Zax, Shinotsky, hello Shinotsky, Brandon the Anime Guy, Christopher Moonlight Productions, Brightest Day, Retro Nerd Girl, War Monkey, the Peter Vinkman fan site, TJ, let's see, Locut. What? Somebody say something?
I'm sorry. That was me.
Oh, okay. Loki's Mornings of Mischief. I heard you this morning, Loki. You sounded good. Alex Moore, Decepticons,
He was okay.
Cave, Decepticons Cave of Comics and Toys, Bush McFadden, Gap After Dark, Bill Barkley, and Donnie Pearson. To everyone that showed up today, thank you. And remember,
How do you feel? How do you feel before we go?
I feel good. I feel real good.
You feel more energized. Wait till a week after it. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference after a week.
I enjoy fueling up for the weekend. But you know what? I may just want to go ahead and fuel up for life.
Gary, you're starting to sound like Emil Blonsky.
Well, I got to tell you, I want to do a group ad where each one of us talks about how we felt and then edit it together, like just and like even be funny about it. It's like have one of those classic voiceover things going that says something, like the medical ads, like Fuel Up has the potential of giving you a great day, possibly dying of joy. It can kill an afternoon of doing awesome shit.
Okay, Bush and Cavitino, they want to know, what are you drinking?
This
Fuel Up, man. It is our sponsor. We will officially begin sponsoring on February 1st, doing sponsor ads and everything on February 1st. They were giving us a little bit of time to try the product, and Chris made the mistake of fucking chugging it when he had it the first day, and he was like that little girl with the cotton candy. He got all fucking wired out, like, oh my god. But I stopped taking old man naps. I don't take old man naps anymore. I haven't taken an old man nap in 8 days since I started drinking this stuff. It's just absolutely, and it's not like I'm like high or anything like that, or rushed like cocaine. It's like I've done speed. I've never done cocaine. But I got to tell you, man, my mind feels clearer throughout the day since I started doing the wake up, and I'm sold on it. If we get a discount as the hosts, we're still going to be paying for it, but I'm absolutely hooked, and I want to continue doing it. It's not something I just want to do to get the promo money. This is actually something I like. I really like this stuff, man. Fuck.
It's good for you. Okay, everyone. We will see you for
in an hour.
TGIF in
Oh, did you
1 hour.
did you promo it?
Oh, let me go ahead and do that.
There it is. Join the end of the week party in my pants. We're going to be talking a little bit about Craig Ferguson returning to late night. Will he save it? I think he will. Plus other news. Plus we got Kieran Bug joining us to talk about a few articles from Geekosity that he co-wrote or wrote. It's going to be a fun episode. First hour, Kieran Bug with Geekosity, and the rest is just going to be us talking about awesome shit, including fucking Craig Ferguson. Why late night died when he left.
Yeah, and I'll be watching when he comes back too.
And seriously, after David Letterman he left, the numbers dropped drastically.
Arsenio too.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great fucking day. Nobody's gonna play? I'll play it. All right, fuck it. I'll do it. This is our new outro.